Hello, good morning. It's great to be able to see you. Google has released his report, and what we could say definitely is the off-grid sector is still growing and still making some progress, despite the pandemic that we've had. Today, I want to talk to you about a country that seems to be a little bit off the radar when we're talking about off-grid, right? And also particularly a company that is doing fantastic things, right? It's happening in Kinshasa, in Congo. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. So stay tuned. And before we go actually further, let me first of all again reintroduce myself. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tony Tiu. I'm the founder here of Renewables in Africa. We are your clean energy champion globally, absolutely. And every day, what we do in this channel, we're making sure that you get a very good description of what the sector is all about. We want to demystify the sector for you so that it makes it seamless and easy for you to connect. This is actually our role, right? Very good, excellent. And what we're asking you, right, depending where you're joining from, whether you are maybe an investor, you're saying that you have lots of money that you want to pour into the sector. So what we're saying here, we have relevant information that's going to allow you to make informed decision. Or maybe you could be a professional. You say, I want to jump into the sector. It inspires me so much. I just don't know where to start. Same thing here. We're going to make sure that we get you the information that you're looking for. Or you could be telling me, for example, right, that I am a company. I like to decarbonize, but I don't know how to do it. Again, here, we're going to help you get the information that you're looking for. So what I'm asking you to do is actually three things. So basically the first is to connect with us, right? Is to make sure that you subscribe to our channel. So we have 5 platforms we're broadcasting to. So we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Twitter, and we have Telegram. You can subscribe to any of those channels, right? Providing that you are connected to those ones and you look at that regularly. Ideally, I like you to be connecting to all of them, right? So that you can't miss any of our video that we're releasing for you on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, right? So the second thing that I want you to do, it's simply to leave a comment. Leave us a comment. So tell us what you think about what we're doing, tell us whether you like it, do not like it. So that'd be great, right? That's what I want you to be doing. And the third thing, simply to share this video. I know some of you are watching me right now. Please do share the video and I would appreciate that, right? So that'd be good. Okay, so today, like I say, I want to talk to you about a country. I want to talk about a company, right? Before I do it, so let me first of all talk about the sector as a whole, right? So very recently, the Gogla, the organization that is looking after the off-grid sector globally, has been releasing a report that I invite you to be looking at. Maybe we may be actually doing a video, a show, an episode, right, looking after that. But in that report that they released, what we could see was that actually after a steep decline of 22% in 2020 due to the pandemic, see, the solar energy kit sales actually has kind of come back a little bit. There has been an increase of 10% in 2021 compared to 2020, right? So that's actually quite encouraging. However, if we're looking overall, we can see that, compared to 2019, we're still 90% down, and that's normal. So that's the effect of the pandemic. So obviously, it's going to take some time before the sector can recover, right, completely, right? And also, one thing that we know is that we have about 733 people that are still living in places without electricity, and the share of it will be in the African continent. And obviously, a lot of upgrade companies are doing great job to make sure that they can tap into this gap, right? The number of people that have access to solar energy kits in 2019 was about 420 million. So now it's gone up to 490 million. That was as per 2021. So definitely progress is being made, but progress is not being made fast enough. And we want it to be made fast enough. And in fact, today, I want to bring to you a company that for me is doing fantastic, phenomenal job, right? and I'd like you to hear more about them. And they're doing it in Kinshasa, in Congo, right? So let me actually welcome our guest here. So hopefully he'll be able to connect. So Landry, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, Tony.
Ah, excellent, excellent. It's good to be seeing you again, my friend, right? So you're looking very sharp as usual.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, so essentially, obviously, welcome to our Renewables in Africa channel. And then in this platform, as I'll say, it's all about demystifying the renewable energy sector for everybody, so that we make it seamless for people to connect, whether they are an investor, whether they are a company, or whether they are a professional. And today, as I say, so I want to talk about Congo, specifically Kinshasa, because it's a country in terms of upgrades tends to be a little bit off the radar, but we want to actually fix it today, right? Because I think you're doing some great things. But before we dive more into it, so I was wondering whether you can give us a very brief introduction of yourself. So who is Landry Jimpe?
Oh, thank you, Tony. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on this channel. I think it's a very interesting topic we are having today, especially given the what is happening currently with the COP27, and we can see all over the damages of climate change as we're experiencing in different parts of the world. So, Landry Jimpe, I am Cameroonian born. Grew up in Cameroon, studied in France, mechanical engineer by studies, worked in the nuclear energy, started my career in the nuclear energy, first selling nuclear instrumentation equipment in France. Then after, I was a proposal manager in the nuclear logistics space, where I was selling nuclear transportation schemes and nuclear casks to nuclear power plants all over Europe. Then after that, I felt the need to get more involved in Africa, I would say, in Africa's development. So I opened with two of my friends a consulting firm, where a research and strategy consulting firm, where we help companies design growth strategies for their operations in Africa, specifically. And that is also how I came in touch with the energy gap, the access gap in energy on the African continent. And I knew I was obliged to get involved at some point, and by any means to help bridge that gap. And that's how I ended up with Lux Africa today.
Excellent. I think that's a great journey so far, right? And you and I definitely share more than one thing in common. That is for sure. And so you talked about Lux Africa because you are the CEO of Lux Africa. And
Exactly.
I'd like to find out more about this company and about what you're doing specifically in the sector, in the off-grid sector in Kinshasa, in Congo. But before we do that, I think I'd just like to play a short video, which is actually, I think, people that have been impacted by the work that you're doing. And after that, we're going to come back and discuss about the vision of the company. So bear with me a second. I think I should be able to have that ready. Yeah.
Sure.
And, you will let me know how I play it. 1 second.
Cela me dit, tu vois, ça façon de parler. Je suis Jean-Claude Van Damme. Quand je tape un coup de pied, j'avance. We are situated in Regini. The street name is Benny. The number of the place is 9588. We got a pharmacy, we got a lunch bar here, people come and have fun, that's it. You know, with Africa, Lux Africa, you get that luxury of paying small for light. You know, we need light. We need that continuity of business to keep people under the light and stuff like that. So I choose Lux Africa for the best one. You have to spend your money to invest in something. You gotta go for it because it's very, very easy to use. I mean, you just have to keep your monthly basics, paying it every single month, and then you're gonna have a light, and then your business will be easy to work. I got a lot of benefits from this.
So now, if I come back to you, and I'd like to find out more about the company that you built, because you said that it looks like you're on a mission to take it to a next level. So, what is the vision of Lux Africa, would you say?
Okay, so the vision of Lux Africa is bridging one of the most important gap, and I would even say social and economic gap we have on the African continent and in the world, I would say. What is this gap all about? When you come to DRC is a fascinating country, right? Almost 1 million people, 100 million people. It's as big as the whole of Western Europe. It's a country famous for its singers, major guys in the art space and in the music space. Huge country. Exactly, Fally Ipupa, Koffi Olomide, Dena Moana, and all those people. I mean, that they're doing incredible things. It's a huge country also when we talk about electric mobility. It's a country that has huge reserves in cobalt, in copper, in coltan, and all these things. But when you come to DRC also, it's a country where access to electricity stands below 20%. So which means you have approximately 80 million people who do not have access to electricity. When you go to most of African countries, you have a low access to electricity in European standards. I mean, when you go to any country in Europe, your access to electricity stands at something close to 100%. When you come to most countries in Africa, it is below 70, even below 60% for most of them. But when you come to DRC, you are below 20%. So it's very significant. When you go to most African capitals, you have access to electricity almost everywhere, and it is quite reliable, especially in most urban areas or urban dwellings on the continent. When you come to DRC, the lack of access to electricity impacts its capital city itself. When you look at data from the national utility or from the World Bank, access to electricity in Kinshasa, a 20 million people city, I mean, estimates are between 18 and 22 million, stands at 45%, which means no matter what number you take, you have approximately 10 million people minimum that are today off grid, who do not have access to any form of electricity. And even when you go with the people that are connected today, you know, before launching, when I was just looking at these macro figures, I was like, oh, we need to dive deeper and understand how deep is the pain point. So we interviewed more than 1,000 people in Kinshasa, asking them, okay, do you have access or do you not have access to electricity? So the people that said we have access, we were like, okay, what is the quality of the service you have today? And they were like, for most people, they have power outages more than 2 times per day. So, I mean, they count the number of hours they have access to electricity, not the other way around. So there's like, even for the people that have access, the 45%, the quality of the service is not great at all. So we were like, we definitely need to address this issue. And something that really struck us was, we asked them, okay, what are the 3 main reasons why you need electricity for? What are the 3 main usages you have for electricity? And they were like, first thing, we need lightning, because our children need to read, need to study after school. We need to limit the risk of home accidents. Secondly, we need electricity for entertainment and information. So we need to make sure that we are kept informed on what is happening in the world and in our country. And third one also, we need energy for the whole cold chain. So be able to conserve food, but also, I mean, we are in tropical weather, so weather is quite hot. So we need to have like AC to cool down temperature. So when we looked at that, we were like, oh, okay. And we also asked people, what are your, how much do you earn as per revenue? And these people were like, okay, more than 50% of the population earns less than $500 per month. And we asked them as well, what is your budget on energy? What's your monthly budget for energy? Let it be to pay your utility bills or to buy, to purchase petrol for your generator or for batteries for your lamps and blah, blah, blah. And they gave us a value was between $10 and $20 monthly. So bringing all this data together, we were like, okay, what is the best way we can help bridge this energy access gap? Because this is a social thing as well. Because children that are not able to study today might not be able to climb the social ladder tomorrow. We are getting more and more into a knowledge economy, and knowledge is the real oil now, like people always say. The data is the new oil, but to explore the data, to exploit the data, you need knowledge. And today, we need to make sure that our people have the necessary knowledge to be able to contribute in the economy that is coming of age today. So we were like, okay, what is the best way to bridge this energy gap, giving people's disposable income, energy monthly income, and the kind of energy access they are that they have access to today. So we came up to terms with saying the best way to bridge this gap, especially for the residential needs, is through distributing what they call solar home systems. So today, Lux Africa is a distributor of solar home systems. So we have partners with whom we distribute what we call solar kits, which has a panel, a battery, and a few lamps, and having an option for a TV as well. Mm-hmm. And that gives a way for homes that are not connected to the grid or that have very low quality from the utility supplier to be able to have access to a reliable energy source for self-production and self-consumption of their electricity. And this is something we have started doing since the beginning of the year. I don't know. And so our vision today is to be able to help these 10 million people, which is approximately between 1 and 1.5 households that are not connected to the grid, to be able to contribute to the global economy via access to reliable and cheap energy.
And that's quite fascinating, because before you actually come in, I was talking about the GOGLA report that was produced recently. And they were definitely talking about the fact that the pandemic, I'm sure you're probably going to refer to that as well, has had an impact on the sector, because between 2019 and now, we're actually down 19%. Okay, we're still recovering, looking at the start, but there's still a lot of people that actually need power. And in your case, yes, it's good to mention the figures. I know at the moment we have about 490 million people that have solar kits, right? But so many that are missing. But for you, you don't even need to look at that, because you're just gonna have to walk around the city and you see that and you experience it.
And you see that.
You don't even,
And like I say, Kinshasa is one of the only big cities in the world where you don't need, or even DRC, where you don't need to go to rural areas to find people that don't have access to electricity. You know, most of the you're talking about the decline in the number of cells on the GOGLA report. It is very interesting because most of the times the solar home system space really developed in the rural areas. You know, because most of the urban areas, especially on the African continent, like and elsewhere as well, you have quite significant access to electricity. Most of the times, the people impacted by lack of access are mostly in rural areas. And that is why when you have a pandemic like COVID, the first people impacted by the COVID are people that are living on a day-to-day basis. So mostly people in rural areas. And they are no more having the means and the disposable income to be able to purchase the solar home systems. Now, when you come to DRC, especially, and you don't have to go beyond Kinshasa, like I said, one household on two do not have access to electricity. So you already have in your urban areas people that are having the disposable income, that are having a significant amount of money they invest in energy monthly, but who do not have access to electricity. So for me, DRC is surely the market that offers one of the, if not the biggest potential for any player addressing the access to involving access to electricity.
And that's quite interesting again, what you said, because I noticed that you went for Kinshasa. You didn't go for rural areas. Like, clearly it was a deliberate strategy, right? From your part.
Definitely. I mean, definitely, like I said, Kinshasa is very densely populated. We're talking about, like I said, between 18 and 22 million people. And also you have 45% access to electricity. So you have like 1.5, 1 million households, even maybe 2 million households, depending on who does the calculation, that do not have access to electricity. Why would I go beyond Kinshasa when at my doorstep I have at least 1 million households that do not have access to electricity? This is like significantly huge. To give you another figure from the Google report you mentioned, today in the world, the second market for off-grid TVs is DRC. Why? Because the first demand for solar home system in DRC is in Kinshasa, and people have disposable income in Kinshasa. When you look at the price range for a solar home system without TV and with TV, usually you have a factor of 1.5 to 2. So if you have a solar home system that is sold for $1, if you add a TV, most of the time it's sold $1.5 to $2. So the people that are willing and having the money to pay for a solar home system with a TV is most of the time in urban areas. And you can see that reflected in the numbers, with DRC being the second market where TVs are being sold worldwide. So why that? Because in Kinshasa, like I said, you have like so many people looking for solar home systems because the grid isn't great at all.
I have to say, you just taught me one thing today, right? So that's why I love having this kind of conversation. I didn't know that was the second market, right? So, and it's funny that many people will actually overlook that. So is it the fact that you've gone for Kinshasa, is it what makes you fundamentally different to other people, would you say? Or is there any other aspect?
No, I mean, it's one of the aspects. You know, what the thing is, most of the people that are in the space today in DRC started in the eastern side of DRC. Okay, some of them started from the eastern side of DRC because they were born there, they were raised there, and they saw a huge opportunity. What you might know as well is the eastern side of DRC, you have a lot of refugees, refugee camps all over there. And so most of the people started there setting solar lanterns in the refugee camps there. Then later on, you had a lot of funding and subsidies that were put into place to bring in people to help develop the off-grid industry sector in DRC, starting with funding in the eastern side of Congo because of all the problems we have over there. So most people that started in this space started in the eastern side of Congo because there were subsidies and because there was easy access to funding in the eastern side of Congo. Now, we came into the industry at a time where there was no more subsidies. There was no more funding. We couldn't anymore sell $1 for 90 cents. So we definitely need to have profitable business from day one. We need to go for profitability from day one. So we looked at the numbers, macro numbers, and we did research on the ground, like I said. And we easily understood that if we want to make business sense and have profitability from day one, we need to be in Kinshasa and quite nowhere else. We need to start from Kinshasa because in Kinshasa, you have a higher concentration of people who do not have access to electricity. So your OPEX, you can easily have a mastery of your OPEX. You can limit your OPEX because you don't have a lot of money to deploy. You don't have to invest a lot of money to deploy your kits in remote areas. People have the disposable income. If you need to do collection of your payments, it is quite easy because it's in a limited space. If you need to do repossession as well because someone doesn't pay, you can do it quite easily. So this is something that is quite interesting, and that was quite interesting and important for us. Second thing that might differentiate us from other people as well is we have a very, very important, we have put service level at a very important differentiating factor. So what do I mean by that? Today, when someone buys a product from us, he is being installed in 24 hours, not more than that. So this is the promise we give our customers. If you buy a product from us, it is installed in 24 hours. If you have any problem with your equipment, you are being assisted in 24 hours max. This is the service level agreement we have with our customers. And this is something that we have been able to keep since we've launched in January. And we are structuring ourselves to make sure that we are keeping this promise no matter the scale we are going to reach. So this is one of our key differentiating factors, our service level agreement with our customers. 24 hours tops, because when you have a family that is paying for its electricity, they can't afford waiting for 48 or 72 hours for a technician to come and diagnose or troubleshoot his equipment. He needs to have the service now. So that is what we are doing with our customers. And that's our key differentiating factor. Aside from the fact that we started from Kinshasa, while all our other competitors started elsewhere.
Excellent. I have to say, so I think you definitely talked about the fact that you are setting up from Kinshasa, which is actually a clear strategy and that maybe other people have not thought about. And then I think now they may be, some of them may be playing catch up. And the second thing is talking about the top level quality of the services, which is very much important for you. I have to say, there's one thing that you say right at the beginning, so you have to give credit to yourself, because I've not heard that, basically that those words regularly in some company I'm talking to, especially I know quite a number of them, is the fact that you said, and I quote, you wanted to be profitable from day one. That for me, it's a really, really interesting approach, because most of the time I have seen companies rely on grants for reason that we know. I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but the challenge with that is later on they may find it difficult to switch into profitability, and they find it then difficult to attract investors. So I like to think maybe the way you are thinking, making sure that you want to develop from the get-go a business that does not rely on grants, is able to make profits, should actually serve you well. I think it's just something that I know that I thought that's interesting to hear. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think this is something that's really at the core of the way we are looking at the space. We came in at a point where before venturing into the space, I have been an analyst on the space for quite some time. I used to work as a consultant. I worked with some of the companies in the space, so I've been following the evolution of the space, and there have been a lot of funding before, and especially grants and subsidies all over the continent by governments, by international donors. But truth must be said, today it is lower. The level of the amount of funding, and especially subsidies and grants, is diminishing by the day. So you can't know more. And secondly as well, when you are building a business in Africa where the access to funding in itself is not that high, you need to build a business that is sustainable and profitable from day one. And that is the approach we are having to make sure that we are having like very lean costs on our cost structure to make sure that we are profitable, and that is how we are scaling. That doesn't mean that we are not scaling. We are definitely scaling, but with having a North Star being profitability.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I'm sure that people listening to us, especially investors, they probably will like this line.
I hope so.
Because we're gonna come back to our investor shortly later, because there's a question you got me to think about, and we can talk about that later. But I wanted to know, because you talked about the fact that you're serving people that, first of all, do not have access to electricity, but also people that have poor quality of electricity, which make the market even bigger, and they may not necessarily be in the let's say the same product bracket in terms of their demand and their need. So I wanted you to give me a little bit better understanding of what is the product range that you are having, so people can get to understand it as well.
Oh, okay. The thing is, we our main, like you said, we are addressing people that are not connected to the grid, and this is our core market, like really our core market. And like I said, we have like 1.5 million of those households just in Kinshasa. Now, what was interesting is we saw a lot of people coming in and be like, oh, I have a TV at home, I have lamps, I'm connected to the grid, but in my neighborhood, we have like 3 hours of electricity a day. You know, and we were like, oh, we definitely need to start addressing these people as well. But at the end of the day, given the fact that we are in urban areas, they have quite the same need as people that are not connected to the grid. So the product we sell the most today are solar home systems with TVs. What do I mean by that? You have a system with a battery, with a panel, with 5 lamps and a TV, and that can power your cell phone, for example. So that means for a normal for a classic family, you have parents, you have kids, you have a house with I don't know, 2 or 3 bedrooms, living room, a kitchen. That can power, like you can have one lightning point in all of those rooms, and you have a TV, and your panel and your battery can power all of that. That is what we sell the most in Kinshasa. Lamps, battery, panel, TVs. That's sold. Now you have people that are having like lower income levels. They will be like, oh, single people or people having like, oh, I don't know, just like 1 bedroom, 1 living room, or a kitchen, and they'll be like, oh, I might not need the TV, I might not need 5 lamps, I just need 3 lamps. So we have another kit that is comprised of a TV, a panel, a battery, and 3 lamps. Classic for single people or smaller nuclear families. Then you also have all these small shops all around. You know, in Africa, right, in the streets, you always have shops all around. Small shops that are open until late at night. And these people usually, when night times comes, they are unable to work because they can't see properly. You know, there is a risk of counterfeit banknotes. There is a risk of things being stolen, or when they buy low quality products in the markets, I mean, they don't last for long. So most of the time they will come to us and be like, oh, I need your product to be able to continue selling at night. And then we have what we call solar lanterns. It's just one light point that can help them lighten up their small shop so that they can keep on selling past sunset. So that's how it is. You have a small lantern, you have a small kit with 3 lamps just for small, like very small families or single people. And then you have for like classic urban families, 5 lamps and a TV. That's
those are the 3 range, yeah. But